Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is our second Fireside Chat for Spring 2023. We have learned so much from our last speaker, Ray Iverson. There's no doubt today's section will be educational and inspiring. These sections are recorded and distributed to our attendees. We will wait a few minutes for everyone to join in. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thi Man Lu, and I am a proud mother, senator on the Downtown Student Council, and credit student at CCSF. On behalf of the Downtown Associated Student and Office of Student Activities, I'm very excited to welcome you to our second Leadership Fireside Chat this semester. For those who are not familiar with this leadership development program, the purpose of this leadership chat is to equip CCSF students and student leaders with a wealth of leadership insights, tips, and strategies. We hope you will have a better understanding of leadership in action from a diverse group of effective and seasoned leaders across various industries. Before we introduce today's speaker, Ray Iverson, I'd like to share a few details about the program. First, those who attend 7 out of the 10 Fireside Chats during the academic year will receive a certificate of participation at the recognition event in the spring semester. Every section is open to all students, even if you decide not to participate in the certificate part of the program. Since you have registered for today's section, thanks to Zoom, we have a record of your attendance. Nothing further is needed of your end to mark your participation. These sections are recorded and the links will be posted on CCSF Student Activities Office website for you to view later or to share with others so that you may benefit from this learning opportunity. If you have questions about this Leadership Fireside Chat program or the certificate of participation, please email student activities at ccsf@mail.ccsf.edu. After the opening remarks, the Dean of Health, PE and Social Service and John Adams campus, Dr. K, will interview our speaker for about 50 minutes. Around 5 p.m., there will be a Q&A opportunity for the speaker to respond to your questions. If you have any questions, please send them privately to Isabella He. Ray will be able to answer them during the Q&A portion. During the last 10 minutes of our time together, we will invite you to share what you've learned today that will help you in your leadership development journey. Now I'm going to turn it over to Isabella He, who is going to share Ray Iverson's bio with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Timon. Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Isabella He, and I am a clinical nutrition major and a CCSF student, and I would like to introduce today's speaker, Ray Iverson. Ray Iverson has been a member of the California Fire Service profession for 32 years, rising to the highest rank of fire chief. Ray is currently working for the city of Redwood City. Ray joined the Redwood City Fire Department on June 7, 2021. Ray previously served as the fire chief for the San Mateo Consolidated Fire Department. He also has an extensive background in the fire service from various departments throughout Northern California, which include Assistant Chief Fire Marshal for Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District, Battalion Chief/Fire Marshal with the City of Benicia Fire Department, Fire Inspector with Contra Costa County Fire Protection District and City of Vacaville Fire, and firefighter with City of Union City, City of Vacaville, and American Canyon Fire Protection District. Ray holds a Master of Public Administration, MPA, and Bachelor of Science degree in Fire Administration from Columbia Southern University and an Associate of Fire Technology degree from Solano Community College. Ray currently serves as President of the San Mateo County Fire Chiefs Association and President of the International Fire Service Foundation. Ray is also an adjunct faculty member for City College of San Francisco. Ray also serves as the Board Director for the San Mateo County Historical Association. I would now like to turn this over to Dr. Kaye, who will be chatting with Chief Iverson about his leadership journey and experiences. Dr. Kaye, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Isabella, and thank you, Timan, for introducing us to the audience here. I want to thank Chief Iverson for his time to be here, and I want to first ask the Chief to really tell us about yourself, your career path, and how you got to where you are today.
Thank you, Dr. Kaye, and thank you for the warm welcome. And thanks, Isabella, and all those students who are participating this evening for this presentation and illustration of information. So a little bit about myself. What you didn't hear in the bio, I've been an avid worker my whole entire life. I've been working since the age of 11 years old in various capacities and working different jobs and different avenues, and really working to enhance my ability to provide for my family. I grew up in Oakland, California, which was a really different time period where we all had to work and support our families and support our households. So one of the good things happened for my family as I was growing up. I got a chance to see my father, who became a firefighter. And that really changed the whole course of our family's direction and trajectory. He became a firefighter for the Oakland Fire Department. And from there, I was able to see that example and that template, that role model in which I could follow and passion and design my future and my career to follow those footsteps. So I was right out of high school, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a firefighter. So with that, I started right off the bat going to community college, like many of you are. That's where I got my beginnings and looking for education, a career goal, taking classes and coursework to obtain my associate's degree in fire technology. And from there, I entered into the workforce. And from that point on, I dedicated my entire life, my adult life, to the fire service and to learning and educating myself on how to improve my ability to do my job well and how to help others and help them grow as well. So that is a little bit about me, my history, my career path that gotten me to this point. One of the things that I also wanted to mention was it was a struggle to get where I am today. Things aren't easy. There are always challenges. There are always obstacles. But the only thing I would like to tell you to remember is failure is only when you stop trying. As long as you never give up, as long as you have your goal in your mind and desire and passion behind it, and you will be successful. Whatever you set your mindset to do, whatever you want to become, whether it's a fire chief, whether it's the president of the United States, you have the opportunity to become whatever you want to be. As long as you get your mind forward and set for goals and work toward those goals, and you'll accomplish them.
That is great advice, and really something that we all need to really embrace. As you were going through all of this, I know that in my life, mentors played a very big part of it. Who were your mentors in your leadership journey, and how did you pick them?
That's a great question, Dr. Kaye. I've had many mentors in my life and a variety of mentors from different fields of professionalism, not just the fire service or public safety. I've had mentors who from different areas, and most recently, a lot of my mentors have been those other than the fire service. Looking at people who work maybe for Salesforce or LinkedIn or Google or other companies and other businesses that have different ideas and inputs and visions and how I can learn and grow my development for my career. But some of my great mentors looking back And one of the things I also want to mention, sometimes we don't get to pick our mentors. Sometimes our mentors pick us. And I've had that happen throughout the many years of where people have pulled me aside and say, well, I notice you're heading to this course. I want to give you some advice. And I want to meet with you on a regular basis and help you develop your career. I see great things out of you. I want to see you do well. So sometimes our mentors choose us. And that's happened to me quite a few times where our mentors have chosen me and helped work with me to become better at what I do. One of my mentors happened to be one of the founders of Ronald Coleman. He was a state fire marshal for the state of California. And he was a trendsetter. He was really a visionary in the fire service. And to this day, there are many awards and accolades that are named after him in his name, emeritus status, because of his influence in the California Fire Service over the last several decades. He was an individual who was one of my mentors, and he gave me some advice early on in my career. And he told me this, and I was, at the time, I had no ambitions to do what I'm doing now. He told me this. He said, Ray, I know, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Where do you want to end up? What is your ultimate goal? I said, well, I want to be a fire chief. Well, he told me, well, Ray, I have no doubt you will be a fire chief, but what are you going to do after that? And that really stuck with me, even to this day, to know, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself, set goals, but know what's after that goal. Set another goal. What's beyond that? Keep pushing yourself forward so you can be successful. And, you know, that's one of the great things I've learned from mentors who really influenced my life and my profession and my career is sometimes they choose us and sometimes we choose them, but mentors are really beneficial and necessary for us to be able to advance in our careers. It takes more than just us. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to help you towards your career goals. So always look at that opportunity. Never take that for advantage. Mentorship, mentors are great to have for your career development.
I couldn't agree more. And never limit yourself to just one mentor. So, Chief, what are your values and beliefs that have driven you in your career and continue to drive you? That's one of the things that all of us look at is how are we meeting those values and beliefs with the work that we do?
Well, that's a great question, Deanie or Dr. K. One of the things that I look at throughout my line of work in public safety and fire service, we value, and really it's a shared value, because in order to be successful in this career, you have to have these values: honesty, integrity, and trust. Those are three of the core principles in which I've lived my life by, I operate by, I want my folks that work with me to live by. That's really the foundation or the pillars of what we do in my profession. Honesty is important. Obviously, we are there to help people on the worst days of their life. We're there to make a difference. We're there to give them something to see better. We come there, we have to be honest with ourselves, honest with others. And it's really one of the foundational principles of what we do. Integrity, of course, that's always a good thing to look at, and we look at that highly. Integrity is important. We do the right thing when no one's looking. We're the ones who are trusted to serve the community and the public and save people's lives and property. So integrity is really an important value. And then lastly, trust. We can't do anything without trust. As a public safety member, as a public safety official, we are privileged to have the trust of the community in which we serve. We have trust. We're coming into people's homes, right? And we affect people's lives. People trust us. People trust firefighters for a reason, because we have that core principle woven into the fabric of our being. That's who we are. We're trustworthy, we're honest, and we hold the highest integrity that ever can happen. We can have. So those are three values that I hold dear. And I expect all those individuals who work with my organization hold those values dear as well.
Absolutely. I know that everybody in this audience counts on the firefighters to be there on their worst day. And we all thank you for that. Now, continuing on that theme, California has seen the fire season dramatically change over the years. What do you see as the future of firefighting in California?
Well, I think that is something that's been evolving in the last 30 years. I've been a firefighter. We've seen the change happen over the years, whether you believe in global warming or climate change. I'm here to tell you that is a real thing. We've seen it happening over the last several years, especially the last decade, where the fire seasons are extended and we're getting worse due to fuel moisture. And then we're fortunate during this current weather pattern, which is, a 10-year high for us, which is very good to see that we're hopefully coming out of that transition where we're going to extended fire seasons and extended large growth fires causing millions and millions of dollars of damage and loss of life. I'm hopeful that that pattern changes. But we do have a lot of work ahead of us for communities, for society to really look at how we're doing and how we affect the climate. That really affects the fire season and our vegetation growth, our weather patterns. All that influences what we end up in our fire seasons every year. So I think that is something I see that is changing. I also think that one of the things that we are looking forward to, which is technology, is really coming to play a huge part in how we respond to these fires. We're looking at better equipment. We get a lot of our equipment handed down from the military. Over the years, we've had helicopters we use. When I came in, we were using the old Vietnam era Super Huey helicopters. Now we're using the 1990s era Black Hawk helicopters. So those things are helping the fire service be able to respond to and fight fires in the volatile land areas and mitigate those risks. But I think we're even moving past that. We're using drone technology, a lot of that. My department actually has a drone program where we have drones. We can do infrared heat signatures. We can also use it for rescues, for people that may be needing assistance, and do reconnaissance and do all kinds of things with the technology that is out there now, becoming more and more readily available. So the fire season has changed and we're changing with it. We're adapting. And one of the things about the fire service, we adapt and overcome. We always adapt to the situation in hand. So whether it be fire season, whether it be COVID, we have adapted and we continue to evolve and adapt.
Well, that's fascinating. So you are now using drone technology to look for hotspots? That's
correct. We use drone technology to look for hotspots. We have an aggressive water rescue program with a fireboat. So we go out in the San Francisco Bay and we any persons that are distressed, we use our drone to even drop a life jacket to them and find out their exact location by longitude, latitude, and also heat signatures in the water or heat signatures above wildland areas or fires in buildings. We can check for heat signatures with this technology. So that's really changed the way we do business, and the technology in the last 10 years has really been advancing fast and very quickly. So these changes are happening very quick.
Well, what do you've made it to the highest rank as fire chief of Redwood City. What do you want your legacy to be?
That's an excellent question, Dr. K. One of the things that I'm looking, as my career has been over the 32-year period, my next journey, my final chapter is to give back and to help others be successful. I'm doing that in multiple ways, and which, being an adjunct faculty with the college is one way to give back and help others. My nonprofit foundation I participate in, I use that as the opportunity to give back and offer scholarships to those who want to pursue a career in the fire service. And one of the things I always tell people that I'm more than just a fire chief, I'm more than a firefighter. I'm a person who has, outside of what I do in the fire service, I'm also a member of the community. So I think my legacy would be to be a community servant and a contributor to the community and giving back to those who are less fortunate than myself, giving opportunities to those who may not have that chance. I get the opportunity to do what I do and to do what I did. I've had a long career and I continue to have a long career, and I'm going to look back with no regrets. I look forward to helping others get to where I'm at today.
Can you tell us more about your nonprofit?
Sure. I started that nonprofit, International Fire Service Foundation, back in 2016 with a couple other fire chiefs who had like-minded individuals. And we really have started that nonprofit foundation to help our communities and give back, right? And look at how to make our communities resilient through helping the fire service, through training, education, and, we're working with the fire service in general through technology. So we've been looking at grant programs to federal government to help spur along drone technology. We've contributed to learning scholarship program for community college students who want to get a career in the fire service. We've donated to charitable events to help college students. Even City College have bought a few things to help with our program there for the fire service program. So those are opportunities I think that the nonprofit really focus on, and really focus on developing others to help their community and help themselves to grow in a fire service career. It's going to make our community resilient on multiple levels.
That is laudable work, and we want to thank you for that. And we also want to thank you for the donations to City College. You currently serve on several firefighter organizations. For our students, how important are these organizations for career growth?
That's a good question also. One of the things that I like to do at least once or twice a year is go away to a conference or convention where I'm seeing people from all over the country, peers, colleagues who are in the same line of work, but maybe they're experiencing things in a different approach and have a different way of solving a challenge or an issue. As you all know, there's more than one way to do a job or a task. There's always more than one way to solve a problem or a challenge or an issue. So not working in a vacuum, not being a silo, it's important to expand your horizons and look at the way others are doing things in the similar field, but maybe a different approach. So I think that is one of the benefits of having international or national conventions, whether it be in California. The California Fire Service has many conventions to the California Fire Chiefs Association, through the International Fire Chiefs Association, through the National Fire Protection Association. There's a lot of associations and groups and conferences, and you can't obviously do all of them, but I try and go to one or two a year to make sure I am doing my role, my job is in line with best industry standards and practices, and we give and exchange information. Just like any other trade show you may go through with tech companies, they're always looking to get an edge up or get something that's going to benefit them to be more efficient, more effective, and help their organization grow. So conferences, conventions, and networking with others, it's important to have that as part of your portfolio and your caliber. As far as whatever your career is, whether it's the fire service or any other career, it's important to have those sounding boards and be able to reach out, interact with those who are doing similar work, so to make sure you're in line with the best way and possibly you can be doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Matter of fact, I actually got one of my jobs, but when I was presenting at a meeting, someone walked up and offered me a position. So it shows how important being in those situations are. What do you, if someone wants to join the fire service, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think the biggest thing for someone who wants to become in the fire service would be to visit your fire stations, talk to your local fire crews, talk to other firefighters, and find out, well, how did you become a firefighter? What did it take? What did you have to go through? What did you have to do to experience it? Because this is something that you learn firsthand from someone who recently went through the process and what they did to be successful. Outside of that, our City College has a great program for training firefighters. We also have an EMT program. Those are things that you would want to do. Talk to your counselor, ask about what coursework you would need to take, prerequisites to be able to get into a fire academy or EMT certification. Those are two things that I would say to start with. Start with getting some, introductory classes for the fire service to make sure it's the right fit. Not everyone's shaped to be cut out to be a firefighter. It may be various things that you are want to do. So maybe various things you're not keen on doing. But I think those introductory courses and coursework and classes and talking to others will help you make that determination whether or not this is the right thing for you. And but we're always accepting students. We have always a room for those who are interested in wanting to become a firefighter or enter the fire service. Not just being a firefighter. I want to also elaborate. There are many other jobs in the fire department, and not all of them are fighting fires and riding on the fire engine. Just to be clear, just like the military, we're a paramilitary organization. We have chain of command, we have rank structure, but for every soldier in combat, there are 4 support persons behind them. So if you think about that, not everybody's going to be riding on the fire engine and putting out fires. We have administrative personnel, we have training personnel, we have fire prevention personnel that do code enforcement inspections and check on buildings. Those are all other fields or avenues you can get into that also support the fire department and the fire department's mission and the firefighters. So I think whatever you desire to do, start off with talking with your counselor, talking with other firefighters, and looking at what coursework is there available for you right there at City College.
Absolutely. And I'm going to make a plug that the chief is one of our instructors in our fire science program, but our fire science program is taught by a lot of active firefighters or retired firefighters. So it's taught by people who were firefighters and are firefighters. So what do you enjoy most about being a fire chief? And what are some of the challenges?
That's a great question, Dr. K. One of the things that I enjoy most about being a fire chief is making a difference in people's lives, whether it be the public, the community in which we serve, or my team members and employees that work in the fire department. One of the privileges of being a fire chief has to involve, I get to promote and hire people. So I've been fortunate the last year and a half, I've recruited and been hired 26 new firefighters and promote more than a dozen fire captains and several chief officers. And we're always continually hiring. We're hiring right now in the process of hiring additional 12 firefighters, with also hiring fire prevention staff, fire inspectors and fire prevention officers. That's really a great opportunity to be able to bring people into the organization and see them with their spark, and passion for this job, for this career. That's very encouraging to see, and that keeps me going, right? I'm seeing these new folks come in who want to become in the fire service, and it's really a breath of fresh air to be able to be a part of that and be a part of those promotions and hiring of new members to the organization. One of the other things with the community, being involved with the community engagement is very rewarding. Being able to give leadership speeches or conferences, being able to present at certain events, whether it be public events, community outreach. We are really active in our community. So working with the neighborhood watch groups, we have a CERT program, which is Community Emergency Response Team, helping those individuals and going to their graduation ceremonies, watching them come from not having any knowledge to being fully self-sufficient and be able to take care of themselves in the event of emergency. So those are great rewards of the job. Watching people develop in their careers, watching our community members learn new skills and tasks to help them prepare themselves for emergencies. Those are great opportunities and rewards I see as a fire chief. Challenges, on the flip side of that, I have to be that person, right? The buck stops here. The CEO, the department head of the organization, I have to also hire, I also have to fire individuals. Unfortunately, occasionally, not a very popular thing to do, but is one of the things that come with the job. And that's one of the challenges I face as dealing with personnel issues. And that whatever company or business you have, that's one of the challenges you will face is as you're a manager or hire or firer who has that responsibility to hire or discipline or terminate employees. Those are some of the challenges that you may face of being an executive leader, a director of an organization. So those are all, we come with great rewards and some of the things that are challenging, but it's all part of the big picture, which is there's no other place I'd rather be to do what I'm doing now and be a part of the change making opportunity that you are enabled to do as a department head.
I have to agree with the challenges that you just said. I think in any field of study that our students will come across when they make it to the top. The biggest challenge will be in personnel, when you have to deal with something that's uncomfortable, but you can't run away from it. So that's because the buck does stop here. So tell us more about your leadership approach, the philosophy and/or mindset.
Well, my leadership approach is to be a situational leader. Some people think about the leadership paradigms or autocracy, laissez-faire. We have all these leadership styles that have been talked about over time. They read many books about different ways of leadership. Servant leader. There are so many different leadership styles you can have. But for me personally, situational leadership, because it really takes, you have to know what situation you're in, what leadership style you're going to use. So my take on that is I am situational. And certain individuals need to be led differently, different ways. Some people need that autocratic, direct order, right? You shall do this. Others may say, well, I just need to know which direction I'm going. I give you my leader's intent. I tell you, I want you to go this way, and this is what success look like. Go forth and conquer, right? And that's most often what I like to do, is give people direction, give them the intent, and tell them what success looks like, and get out of their way. Because it's really about going back to what we talked about earlier, about hiring great people. If you hire great people, you'll have a workforce that's motivated, energized, and has the ability, the passion, the desire, direction to do the right thing. And I like to hire the best and the brightest and stay out of their way, because they're the ones that are going to be able to do those tasks and those roles. And there's different ways of doing things. I'm not a micromanager, right? I don't want to be over their shoulder trying to figure out whether they're doing it right or not, the way I would like it to be done. I'm more on the big picture side of it, where I don't get down to the weeds. I allow them to be creative, imaginative, come up with new ideas, new ways of doing things. That's when your organization will be successful. Where you're not so cut and dry, black and white, or rigid. You allow people to be expressive and be able to be imaginative and creative. Allow them to be their best selves. That is what my leadership style is, to allow them to become their best selves and have the ability and flexibility to do their jobs and do their jobs well. Give them the support and freedom to do what they need to do to make a successful outcome.
I like how you put this together as situational leadership. How did you come upon situational leadership? What in your past led you down that route?
Well, one of the things that led me down that route is I've worked with several fire chiefs and I've seen several leadership styles. And I like, bits and pieces from all of them. But there's no one situation where one specific leadership style will work, well all the time. You have to be flexible, and you have to be able to adjust your leadership style based on the moment, based on the need at the time. So I think that is where I evolved to see, well, I like this part of this person's leadership style or this person's leadership style, but I know this is an application for that. The application has to be proper to the circumstances in front of you. So I think it's something I've learned over my career, where I've, I told you earlier where failure is when you stop trying. When you fall down, you have to pick yourself back up. As leaders, we make mistakes. We have to learn from those mistakes and redirect ourselves, figure out which way we need to go from there. And that's where I've learned to be more flexible, be more situational, how I lead others and how I encourage others, because different people are motivated different ways. And we have to know what that person's motivations are and how to support them. And sometimes that involves us asking, how can I best support you? What do you need to be successful? Instead of assuming we know what they need, we know what's best for them, we're the boss, right? And that's not necessarily the case. We have to find out from the individual what they need to be successful. Just like you as students, you all have different learning styles. Some people require hands-on, some people require visual, or some people require both, visual, hands-on, and demonstrative. So we all have different styles of learning and different styles of working. And there's no right or wrong. There's just what success looks like, right? As leadership intent.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I've learned from my bosses who are really great. And I learned from my bosses who weren't as great. And each one taught me something about leadership. So, in addition to, so you've worked in many different fire departments. How did seeing the way different organizations approach this service help you in your current position?
Yeah, that's another great question. One of the things that I've been privileged to be able to be a part of a lot of different organizations over the years and different roles. And as I look back throughout my career, I learned something different from every organization I was a part of. I've learned what works well, what doesn't work well. I've learned things that we can, continue to look at and do that will be our outcomes to be successful. And not necessarily say that what worked well at one location will work well at another. Because there are differences. There are people involved. Anytime you have human beings involved, there are different cultures. There are different socioeconomic backgrounds. There are different people that learn differently and do things differently. So we can't put people into a box. We have to be able to look at these opportunities and we give people an opportunity to try these things. But knowing from my experience, there are certain things that will have better outcomes than others. And my experience has given me that opportunity to be able to be reflective enough to know, well, we tried this at this location. Maybe we can try it here. It may work here. This location had these parameters behind it. It didn't work out too well. But this location, we have these parameters in which are more conducive or successful. This may work here. Let's try it. So I have the ability to look at that and look at those outcomes, both successful and unsuccessful, and learn from that and not make the same mistake twice. So I think that's what gives me that perspective. A lot of times in the fire service, people will work at one organization for several years, maybe 20, 30 years, their whole entire career. That's the only way they know of doing it. So when you expose them to, well, if you do it this way, it's going to be more effective. And their eyes just pop, wow, I never heard of that before. Being exposed to multiple ways of doing things, multiple cultures, multiple different departments that have different standards and operating procedures really allows me to be more flexible in that sense, and allows me to help others to see it different ways and help them to advance their career and their knowledge of this profession.
I agree. It really is, I think, helps to see multiple different ways of doing things. And that's why we need to not live in silos and go out and explore different ways of doing things. One of the things our students may be wondering about is, what's your typical day like as a fire chief? I mean, you get to see all the people riding around in the fire engines, but what's the chief's fire day like?
That's a great question. And that's something that changes every day. But for the most part, the fire chief's role is an administrative role. I'm not going on fires or riding on fire engines. I work an 8 to 5, Monday through Friday job in an office. And I have meetings, a lot of meetings. So one of the things as a department head in a particular organization I'm in is a city organization. So we have department heads who are in charge of the departments, the police chief, the fire chief, the director of public works, director of human resources, director of community development. And we all have, report to the city manager. So we're like COOs, I guess, in the corporate world. We have operational responsibility and oversight for our departments. So we work together with our other colleagues in those other departments. We have to, because we're codependent upon each other. We can't drive down the street without public works making sure the roads are paved and the potholes are filled. We can't fight a fire without the water department making sure the fire hydrants have water in them. We don't get paid without human resources, HR, to make sure we have our paychecks from finance. We were codependent, so we worked with our partners and within that city organization. I have to say that we're a cog in a big wheel, and every city is pretty much set up similarly, structural wise, in which we have many things that are all going on. So we're part of the whole city team. So we have just other responsibilities than the fire department. There's community events and outreach that we do that multiple departments are a part of. We do a shared approach, collaborative approach when we deal with our community. For example, today, I'm looking at a letter that was going out to our mobile home park communities, and in which we're all having a piece of, Public Works has a piece to this, police department has a piece to it, the fire department has a piece to it. So we draft letters together. We have to have meetings and working with our community groups, doing presentations. We're all part of that team. So my day has changed from day to day. It could be, it always involves meetings. Sometimes it involves office work. And most times, at least once a week, I try and get out of the office and actually go and see my folks out there in the fire stations. I have 7 fire stations in our area, and 8 companies or crews out there every day, 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So I try and do some FaceTime with those folks. I have weekly meetings that are standing with our command staff team. I have weekly meetings that are standing with my executive team. So there's a lot of meetings that are standing and really keeping track of the organization, make sure everything's run smoothly, making sure we're communicating, making sure we're trying to be strategic as possible to cut off any roadblocks or pitfalls that may be in front of us. So it's active management, active leadership. It's always, sometimes the pace is really hectic, but sometimes it's not. So when I do have downtime, like on today, on Fridays, I try and make time for things like this, where I can have more, not as a hectic day, maybe more interfacing, interacting with people and the community.
Well, thank you so much. And now I'm going to hand this over to Jose so that we can have some questions from our audience now.
Thank you, Dr. Key. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today. My name is Jose Kaeuper, and I am executive and team coach and ESL student at CCSF. Thank you, Dr. Key, for interviewing Ray today. And thank you, Ray, for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your stories and experiences with us. We have learned so much from you. In my case, especially, I like it so much when at the beginning of your presentation, you said 2 great expressions. The first one was the most important thing to achieve your goals is never give up and try and try. I like it. And in the other hand, you say, set your goals, but never limit you. Incredible for me. Thank you for all of these advices. Now I will read some questions. I see there are several for the audience, but if you have any questions, please send them privately to Dane GCL. But because for the next 20 minutes, I will be facilitating this Q&A portion. I think we are ready to start. It's okay for you, Ray?
Yes.
Perfect. The first one is, being a firefighter is an extremely stressful job. How do you ensure that the stressors and pressures of these professions do not impact your family time?
That's a great question. One of the things that we see a lot happening now with behavioral and mental health challenges, not only in the fire service, but in our own community, right? And we see that happening more and more. So we've taken proactive steps in the fire department to avoid that happening. So we have agreements with companies like Cortico, who we have an app our firefighters can use to find peer counseling, peer coaches, professional assistance if need be for mental behavioral health, intervention or crisis, or just to talk to someone, help them with their life challenges. We also do what I call decompression therapy. We have an ability to have our firefighters go off duty when they work a shift schedule, 2 days on, 4 days off, but before they go home to their families to decompress. We have the ability to work with our equestrian center in Woodside. They can go and pet horses and brush horses and do nature walks, things of that nature before they go off shift and go home to their family in order to decompress. I do see a lot of traumatic events and tragedy, and it's important that we take care of their mental behavioral health and enjoy, encourage off-duty time and downtime. For me personally, I go fishing, I work on classic cars, and I do that to help my mental sanity and my mental refreshing myself to be able to give back to others. We have to help ourselves before we can help others.
Thank you, Ray. Ready for the next one?
Sure.
Okay. The second one is, do you have any suggestion for those who have yet to find their passions or who are looking for a change in their life, but not sure where and how to get started?
That's a great question also, Jose. Your passion really comes from from within, and you have to find out what makes you the most happy, what makes you the most you're glad to be a part of. And we all have to decide that for ourselves. And I look at, for me, and my passions and my things that give me joy, right? I mentioned a couple of those in the last set, fishing, working on classic cars, and being in the fire service. They're all things that give me joy, have a passion to be able to be a part of. And I took time to develop those passions and decide what brings joy to me. And we each have to dig deep into ourselves and find out what brings you joy. It may be something like helping animals or helping people or children, or and not just hobbies, but things that really bring you joy. It's something you're going to do it for a living or for a career. One person once said, "Is if you do what you love doing, you never work a day in your life," right? And that's why I think about the fire service. I enjoy doing it. It's not really work to me. We look forward to coming to work, right? It's like our second family. It's a second extension of our being. It's a joy to do what I do, and it's not a chore. It's not a work. And I always used to joke about this, but I do this for free. No, I'm just kidding. And I really did. When I first became a firefighter, I did a reserve firefighter, and we were a paid call. So basically, we're volunteers. So that's how much passion I have for this job and this career. And it takes each individual to find out for themselves what makes you passionate, what makes you get out of bed, what makes you want to go do every day.
Thank you, Ray. The next one. What quality do you believe are essential for effective leadership in the fire service? And how do you cultivate those qualities in yourself and your team?
Well, I touched on that earlier a little bit on my presentation during the questions about honesty, integrity, and trust. Those are the three critical traits and values that one would need to be a successful leader. And the fire service or in general in life. But in the fire service specifically, I set team expectations, for my command staff and those that were direct reports to me and through my chain of command and those that work within my organization. Everyone has the chief officer or gold badge. Those are the ones with the oversight and managerial responsibilities of others underneath them. They follow these team expectations, and we work through those together. We agreed upon what those. We have 15 team expectations that we all agreed upon. That we all say we're going to uphold each other to these team expectations and keep each other accountable, because we have to be in order to be successful. We have to know that we all are going to follow these expectations, and we're all going to do it. And we're all going to keep each other accountable to it. So that's what I think the values and expectations, you have to have those clearly defined to be a successful leader.
Thank you. The next one. I read, I understand that must be very intense to work in your field of work. I was wondering if you have a supportive team to help you to take care of yourself. For instance, a well-being team to take care of the people who take care of us.
That's a great question, Jose. Whoever asked that question, that's something that I find most recently very important, top of mind. For me personally, used to say it's lonely at the top, but that's not necessarily the case anymore. There are support groups, and I'm actually part of one of them, a fire chief support group, where we meet, and talk with other fire chiefs. They're all across the country. We do our Zoom meetings and regularly interchange information and ideas, and have a safe place to really talk and decompress and learn other ways of doing things, that we're not doing this in a vacuum or silo. That is a peer support group that I really look forward to being a part of and participating in. And for our firefighters, we have peer support group people within the organization are trained as peer support personnel. We have outside vendors that we use, as I mentioned earlier, through the Cortico application, and our Equestrian Center that help our firefighters decompress and de-stress and have that support network. It really takes all of those things to make someone be successful and have the support they need to be able not to be overcome by the stress of the job. Because this job is stressful. This job does require us to be able to relieve that stress and decompress. Otherwise, we have many issues with family life, personally, health-wise. So we have to have these mechanisms in place, safeguards, to alleviate that stress.
Thank you. The next one. Please, could you tell us what are some challenges that you face every day while leading people?
Well, challenges faced every day of leading people, dealing with that, just find out different ways to motivate people. Because people are motivated differently. Some people, financial is a way to motivate them. Some people, they need recognition, or they need the accolades, or they need different things. So we have to find out what that person needs, how to motivate our direct reports, those that work with us, because it's really about being flexible enough and adaptable to meet their needs so that they can feel supported. So they'll, I was telling one of my direct reports today during our one-on-one, support your people, encourage them, motivate them, and they will go through a brick wall for you. Because that's how we have to support our people so they can support us and support the mission of the organization.
Thank you. The next is a funny question. What is your favorite ice cream and why?
Favorite ice cream is Rocky Road. So I think, over my life journey has been a rocky road, but it's always very delicious and tasteful to eat it.
Perfect, thank you. The next is interesting. You have a dangerous job and sometimes sad things happen. How do you support your colleagues in case of failure?
I missed the last part of your question, Jose. In case of what?
Yes, in case of failure.
Oh, failure. Yeah, so failure for us is not an option. I know we like to hear people say that because if we fail, then people die. So we train to the highest level. We train for perfection. And it looks like something you don't want to hear or don't hear a lot, but we train for perfection because we don't have a second chance. There's no do-overs when you're trying to save someone's life. You get one opportunity, one chance. So we train repetitiously, we train daily. We maintain physical fitness and safety and training every day because every day we're expected to be able to perform at the highest level when people's lives are in the balance and they're to make their a worse day better. We have to be prepared to be able to do that, answer that call, and be effective and professional and make a difference. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, interesting. I never heard something like that. In your professions, you can't failure. It's real because you don't have a second chance.
Yes. Failure's not an
Incredible.
option.
Yes, thanks. Interesting, the next one too. How do you deal with the loss of life?
Well, that's a weird question to ask. You know, we see that unfortunately quite a bit. And really it's about talking through it and having a network of support to talk about it. Now, the worst experience I've ever had was to see the loss of firefighters. I had an unfortunate experience being able to be a part of that, and fire where 2 firefighters lost their lives. And that's it hits a little close to home, because almost like losing family. You're around these people all the time, 30 of your life when you're a firefighter. So that's something that really hits close to home. But even loss of any life is a challenge and something that we have to deal with and cope with. And there's something that, you know, revolves, having, we call it critical incident stress debriefing and diffusing. We have members that are trained, and we bring outside members in to support our firefighters when we see loss of life, especially when it deals with children or those of a young age who just began their life. You know, we know the natural progression the human being has through life is to, you know, be born, live their life, and then eventually die of old age. That's not to say it's easier to deal with that, but it is something we see quite a bit. And we do have, you know, we talk it out. We talk it amongst ourselves. We talk with our peer support folks to make sure that anyone has a problem with it can be able to help that they need to work through it. And one of the unfortunate things that come with the job is we do see fatalities, loss of life, and that's one of the things we learn to cope with. There are coping mechanisms we have in place, and identifying any issues that people may have when they come across it. But I can tell you, Jose, when I first became a firefighter 32 years ago, we didn't have the services we have today, and we just, you know, get over it and get back out there. Now we recognize those symptoms and signs where people may be struggling with dealing with that loss of life, and we're able to give them help and assistance to help them cope through it and get through it.
Yes, thank you, Ray, for your answer. We have more. As an instructor of the CCSF Fire Science Program, do you have a favorite topic or unit you enjoy teaching?
Oh, that's a good question. I enjoy teaching all the subjects. I've been an instructor there for several years, and I've taught all the subjects, but I do prefer, you know, one of my things before I left the fire service active on the line was truck work. So I enjoy teaching, you know, forced entry, ladders, and ventilation using power tools, those type of things. That's my favorite topics and things to teach. But I enjoy all of it. And I always tell people this: there's no bad job in the fire service. It's all a joy. It's all a pleasure. It's all exciting. And that's why we do what we do.
Great. The next one. What is the training like for a firefighter? What is their typical week like?
That's a great question, Jose. We training, like I said earlier, they train and they do physical fitness every day. So most fire departments in the Northern California Bay Area work a 48-hour, 2 days on and 4 days off. So they call it a tour duty. So they have their 2 days. During those 2 days, they have set schedules. We'll have the first day on, they'll be checking out their equipment. They'll be making sure all the stuff's ready to go. They'll have maybe some inspections out in the community or public education in the community. They'll have training every day, whether it be classroom or hands-on training. Every day they'll have physical fitness they'll do for an hour or so, make sure they're physically fit and maintaining their physical health. And typically, even into the evening, sometimes they'll be involved in community events or outreach or training. So their days are set pretty much. And between all of that, they're in 911 emergency calls. So they're dropping everything at the top of a hat within a minute, 30 seconds, they're out the door, respond to an emergency. So they're very flexible and adaptable in the fire service. They have to be, because every day is different. Every day is a challenge, every day is an adventure, and every day there's no routine.
Great. We have more questions, but we don't have enough time to read or to ask all of them. We have time for read and ask you one more if you have time, please.
Sure.
What are 4 to 5 tips that you could give to a student as they enter their careers?
4 to 5 tips. There's a couple right off the bat. Stay honest, stay hungry, stay humble. That is something you'll learn, that, keep honest with yourself, honest with what your intentions are, honest with what you want to do. Stay hungry, keep that passion, keep that fire in your belly, and make sure that, hey, you want to do this career, this job, and let other people know it, and stay passionate about it. Stay hungry, always looking for opportunities for personal growth, development, always looking for a way to advance your career or get into the career you're trying to seek or become a part of. Those are 3 things I always mention to folks that right off the top of the bat is to honest, hungry, and humble. You'll go far and you'll be successful.
Great. Okay, thank you so much, Ray, for your interesting answer to the question from our audience. And now I am going to turn it over to Marinili Villalobos, who will facilitate the next portion of our event. Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Well, saludos. Good evening, everyone. My name is Marinili Villalobos, and I am a student advocate and also serve as the current CCSF student trustee. I would first like to thank Jose for facilitating the questions and answers this event. And thank you again, Chief Iverson, for answering questions from. We really appreciate you sharing your leadership journey, helpful tips and lessons learned, and sage advice. I personally enjoy hearing about your experience, especially the one when you mentioned that sometimes you don't choose your mentors choose you. I think that's a very key point. For myself, I at first I began trying to search who can I connect, but after a time it just happened where mentors just kind of started mentoring me. So I think you sharing that reassures that. So now I would like the participants to share with us what inspired you today and what have you learned from Chief Iverson. So at this point, if anybody wants to share, you could raise your hand and I'll make sure I call on you. But as we wait for participants to gather their thoughts, I would like to call on one of our student facilitators, Isabella. Maybe you want to share your takeaway from tonight's event?
Yeah, of course. Well, first, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation and wonderful answers to the questions. I think I had learned so much from today about the fire department, and I was really glad to hear about the different peer resources and support that firefighters get because of the such intense work that you guys have to do. And something that I will be taking away with me today is, again, the core values of honesty, integrity, and trust. I am going into a career that highly emphasizes honesty and trust. And I think it really resonated with me when you were saying how people need to trust the fire service, and you hold that trust, and that's why you don't have any failure with it. Yeah, thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Isabella, for sharing your takeaway. If you would like to share your takeaway, Alicia, you could go ahead and do so.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Iverson, for sharing. Actually, I know before this speech, I know nothing about this field. So when I hear you say that how technology changed the way you are working, is fascinating. And also my biggest takeaway today is that when you said, when the mentors choose you, you are just to keep trying, try your best, then the mentors will recognize you and waiting to offer their help to you to achieve your goal. That part is really inspiring to me. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Alicia. Thank you for sharing your takeaway. If anybody would like to share your takeaway on what Chief Iverson talked today, you're more than welcome to. And in the meantime, if we could hear from one of our other student facilitators, Jose, if you would like to share your takeaway.
Yes, great. Thank you, Malinili. Like I said at the first of my portion, I love it to hear from Ray. Never give up. Try. And other things. Your culture, your calm. You have very clear your values and your concept and your service spirit. All of these things. I don't know if the correct expression is inspire me. I admire you. Yes, I want to say that. And thank you for your presentation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Jose. Like we mentioned, if anybody would like to share any thoughts, takeaway that you got, something that stood out, something that you want a follow-up with, this is the time to share. Well, in the meantime, okay, you could go ahead, Alexandra.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Chief Iverson, for finding time out of your busy schedule to share with us this information about your leadership journey. It was really inspiring for me, and I learned a lot, not only about fire service, but also about your approach to leadership. And I think it's important for any leadership position we might take in the future. As for me, I think the most important advice was about failure. That failure is when you stop trying. It's really inspiring, and it would be my main takeaway from this session. Thank you so much again.
Yes, thank you, Alexander, for sharing that. For myself, I would have to say the same thing as Chief Iverson mentioned. That failure is only when you stop trying, and I think you put a more of a bigger concept or perspective to it. Is that when you fail, lives we lose lives in your field, so it's very important. It's very important in that sense. If anybody else would like to share something that your takeaway or any thoughts, this is the time to do so. Or if any of our other student facilitators would like to share a takeaway, you're more than welcome to. Okay. Well, at this time, I would like to ask Chief Iverson if you have any final leadership advice that you would like to share with the audience today.
Thank you. I'd like to first of all thank everyone for the opportunity to share my leadership journey with all of you. I'm hopeful that I've learned from some of the comments, that some of the takeaways that you all received, and I'm glad to be a part of helping you to find out what your goals will be, what your passion will be, what drives you for your success in your future career. And one of the things that I always want to say that help people to find what makes them happy, what drives them, what gives them joy, because if you do that, your career will be like a blink of an eye. 30 years have gone so fast, so quickly, because I don't think of myself as really working. I think of myself as doing what I was born to do, meant to do, want to do, and have a strong desire to do. So if you take that away with you, for anything that we spoke about today, find out what drives you, what gives you that fire in your belly, that makes you want you to do what you want to do with your career, with your life, and how you want to make a difference in our community, and pursue that goal.
Thank you for that, Chief Iverson. Well, thank you once again to everybody that joined us today. As always, these chats are truly insightful and a great learning opportunity. And again, a very special thank you to you, Chief Iverson, for joining us today for this Leadership Fireside Chat. We truly are inspired by you and your stories, and are honored to have you join our list of notable guests. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Kaye.
Well, Chief, I want to thank you again for joining us today. I'd also like to give special thanks to our student facilitators, Timan, Lou, Jose, Kirkibi, not quite, Isabella He, and Malinali Villalobos. I want to thank them all, the Downtown Centers Associated Student Council and the Student Activities Office, for all that they do to put on this wonderful fireside chat. Thank you for making this event possible. And please put this event into your calendar for our next wonderful speakers that are coming shortly. Have a great weekend, everybody. And again, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, everyone.